Alright, guys, welcome back to the Miami Dolphins podcast, where we run through all the Dolphins news you need to know about, and we talk about Dolphin stuff, and we do a fan Q&A. So if you guys are interested in that, go check out the channel. So let's get right into this. There's a lot to talk about. Well, there's actually not a lot to talk about. I lied. There's literally nothing to talk about. So let's get into this. There's only a couple news stories to go through, literally two. So the first one is the Dolphins have officially signed Devon Godchalks. I can never say his name right. But the article reads, you can read about this on Pro Football Rumors or wherever you want to read about it. The Dolphins, it just says the Dolphins are looking for a rotational player to play behind Jordan Phillips and Ndamukong Suh. And they think they found that in him, obviously. And the only rookie that has not been signed yet is Charles Harris. So we're gonna split this up into two. So let's talk about Devon for a second, and we'll talk about Vincent too. The thing about Devon is he's such a good pass rusher. I mean, he got a lot of pressures in college, and he's not the worst against the run. The only thing, obviously, they question his strength, and if he can handle the strength of an NFL offensive lineman, which we're gonna see. But his first step and his quickness, and he's pretty good. I mean, I'm not gonna say he's like a straight up technician, but he knows how to use his hands. He knows how to use his quickness in the right way, and it's gonna be interesting to see how well he does early on. Especially in preseason, I'm really curious to see how well he does, because I think he has a chance to be a really good situational pass rusher, whether that be in your nickel package or your quarters package, whatever it is. If you know the other team's going to pass it and it's a 3rd and long, you put him in the game, especially with all the defensive linemen. Same thing with Vincent. Devon has a chance to be a really good sack artist on the next level, so it's going to be interesting to see how far along he actually is. And the thing about, like I said, the only thing people are worried about is his size and strength. I mean, he is kind of an undersized defensive tackle, but when you're a 4-3, 3 technique type of a guy, there's really no reason. I mean, you don't have to have size. I mean, you look at Geno Atkins, who's one of the smallest. He's probably the smallest 3 technique in the NFL right now. And he's pretty dang good. So we're going to see if Devon can capture some of those smaller defensive tackle, because those guys have quickness. They also have strength. They're pretty strong guys. But they have that quick first step, and they can get through the tiniest of holes in just in a snap. So it's going to be interesting to see if Devon can capture some of that magic. Because, again, everybody's wanting to know if Devon is going to start. I don't know if he's going to – I don't think he'll start. I'm hoping Jordan Phillips kind of grows into his own skin, because if he doesn't, he's an absolute bust in the 2nd round, because he has all the talent in the world to be a great defensive tackle in the league. He's got size, he's got speed, he's probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest, defensive tackle in the NFL. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can grow into his own skin. So there's a lot of young talent at that defensive tackle position, not to mention Vincent Taylor, who I said was a nose tackle. Got a lot of crap for saying that. What I meant by that is just to kind of to paint a picture of how big this guy is, because he is a big guy. He's a space eater. And he's very mobile. So it's going to be interesting to see how I know Vincent's going to play a lot of special teams. You guys are going to see him a lot of blocks, a lot of when we put out there, if we put on a block on a punt or put on it obviously on against field goals, he's definitely going to see a lot of Vincent. So hopefully he can get his hands on one of those balls, but he's definitely going to make the team, and he's definitely going to be prominent on special teams. But Vincent's going to be interesting too, because he has talent in terms of rushing the passer, and he's so strong and quick. So it's going to be interesting to see how these young interior linemen develop early on in their careers. I'm very anxious to see where they are at this point in their career, because they do have a lot of talent. So to move on from that, let's talk about the Charles Harris thing. I don't think it's a problem that he's not signed yet. Obviously, hopefully this doesn't turn into a Joey Bosa type of deal. But the thing about Charles is he loves football so much. Like Jarvis didn't hold out. He still showed up for voluntary workouts and stuff like that, because he's a great leader and he just loves the game. So there's no reason to really hold out. Obviously, that makes the team make a quicker decision on you, but that's not true. I mean, if you look at his NFL history, I guess players think that that's how it works, but it's not. It always drags out even longer, in my opinion. So I don't think Joey Bosa and Charles Harris are the same situation at all. I think Charles Harris has obviously made it clear that he's going to work really hard. So who knows why he hasn't been signed yet. That is a little interesting piece of news that I guess you guys could keep your eyes on, is when we get our first-round pick signed. But no, I don't think he's going to be a holdout guy. All right, so this next piece of news, it's like literally the last piece of news for the Dolphins, and it's not even news. It's just really a topic to talk about. And it's so Bleacher Report did a list of every team's best player that could be cut this offseason, and Koa Misi was brought up. So I thought that was an interesting topic to discuss, and how the Dolphins are going to use Koa Misi because of the addition of Raekwon McMillan, Lawrence Timmons, and obviously Kiko has been here for, this would be his second season in a Dolphins uniform. But before, I've talked about this before, but in case you haven't heard it, but before the 2016 NFL season started, we had a 3-4 front sub package built for Koa Misi to rush the passer. Now you can watch the interview with Adam Gase where he talked about it. You can watch the interview with Vance Joseph when he was in a Dolphins coach's uniform when he talked about it, and how much that impacted the team when he got hurt, because we had a whole sub package ready for Koa Misi, and a lot of that had to do with Vance Joseph's love for the 3-4. Vance Joseph prefers the 3-4 over 4-3, so it made a lot of sense why he made that package, because obviously Koa Misi coming out of college was a pass rusher. He was not a 4-3 linebacker. He would probably he can actually put his hand in the dirt and rush the passer. So he's always been that. And the thing that hurt his development, and probably the reason why he's so injured throughout his career, is because we put him in the middle of the field. To play middle linebacker, I think you have to play it your whole life. Obviously, there's exceptions to the rule, but mostly when you see the exceptions to the rule, it's a player that is used to taking a beating, like a safety switches the linebacker. It's usually a safety switches the linebacker, but you can understand why that works, because safeties play in the box as well. And when you play in the box, you're taking a lot of hits on your body. Down in and down out. You are getting dirty. It's tough. It's tough. So I think that's one of the reasons Koa has had such an injury-riddled career. And it's just unfortunate. But like I said, back to my original point with the sub package, it's gonna be interesting to see if we keep that, because I hope we do. That's a really cool idea. And it would be awesome to see that, because we have versatility on the defensive line to line people up at different positions. So if Sue doesn't have to play he doesn't have to play nose tackle on the center. I think Jordan Phillips could do that. If we go straight 3-4 front, I don't think we would do that. It's gonna be interesting to see how it will look, and if we still use that idea at the 2017 NFL season, or because we obviously remember before the season started, Koa Misi took the pay cut to stay on the Dolphins roster. So he wants to be here. He wants to play football, and I hope we use him as a pass rusher. And little nuggets to take out of Matt Burke's press conference, which I think is telling. Now, the Dolphins have said this, and I love it. I love it so much. It doesn't matter where you were drafted. It doesn't matter where you came from. If you just came from McDonald's and cooking burgers, if you're better than the player that is starting, you will play. So there's never a set plan with these coaches, which is an amazing. If you want to have a consistent winning football team, it's good. It sends a good message to the players. It sends a good message to the organization. It's just it makes everybody feel like they actually have a chance. So it's just a good message. So in saying that, there's no 3 starters set in stone. But I think what you can take from Matt Burke's press conferences when he was talking about linebackers, if I can remember correctly, I may be misremembering this, but so you guys can go check it out and correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't think he ever mentioned Koa Misi in the linebacker rotation, in terms of not the linebacker rotation, but the 3 starting linebackers. I don't think he ever mentioned that. Now that could have been the reason nobody asked him about Koa. I don't know if I could be remembering that wrong, but I remember him just talking about Raekwon, Kiko, and Lawrence, and he was answering questions of where who's going to be the 3 linebackers out there, and he brought up Raekwon, Lawrence, and Kiko. So maybe those are the 3 out the gate that he expects to start week 1 in the NFL season. And I know everybody's worried about where Raekwon is going to start, where is Lawrence going to start. If he's better than Lawrence Timmons at the middle linebacker position, he will play in the middle linebacker position. Just because the Dolphins gave him a 2-year deal and he's a veteran, that doesn't mean anything, okay? Which is awesome. So Raekwon, if he's better, he will play. And not to mention, we have a bunch of great sub-package, or one guy that I still think is extremely underrated, in Neville Hewitt. I think Neville Hewitt has a ton of talent, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Dolphins utilize him this upcoming season. So, because Neville is not a 3-down guy, he is a great coverage linebacker. If you look at the 2015 game? It was a 2016 game. It was the last game of the 2015 season. And it was obviously in 2016 January when we upset the Patriots. And obviously they went on to win the Super Bowl. Or excuse me, not the Patriots. The Broncos went on to win the Super Bowl because of us. You're welcome, Denver Broncos, because we gave them home field advantage. But when you go back and look at that game and just look how great Neville Hewitt played in that game, I mean, that was his best game that I've ever seen him play in. And they put on many plays, they put Neville Hewitt on an island with Rob Gronkowski, and he held his own pretty well. So Neville Hewitt's another guy that I would look out for, because I don't think he's a 3-down guy. He's terrible against the run, even though he's shown flashes of, I just don't think he's a consistent 3-down guy. I think he's a great sub-package guy, though. So that's a guy you got to keep your eyes on. Alright, so this is the final story before we get into AFC East news, which is crazy because we're only 11 minutes in here. But it is interesting, guys, to keep your eye on Koa Misi, that's for sure, and how we utilize him in the 2017 NFL season, because I hope we still stick with that 3-4 plan. Let me know what you guys would do with Koa Misi. I know a lot of Dolphins fans hate him because he's barely ever on the field, but it is what it is. Alright, so let's get into some, the last story of the Dolphins that I wanted to talk about is expectations going into the 2017 NFL season. Now, expectations, I would think, with Dolphins fans they're like that, they don't have high expectations. You know what I mean? Like, some people are delusional. And before the 2016 NFL season started, I didn't think we were going to make the playoffs, and I never predict records. But I was trying to pump everybody's expectations because of Adam Gase and all the great things we were hearing about him. But basically what I was saying to everybody was, listen, this is his first season. He inherited Joe Philbin's team. So let's give him a couple years to build this roster, and then let's see what he can do. In the first season, he takes us to the promised land. He took us to the playoffs. So naturally, fans are going to be like, okay, that was awesome. Are we going to get more of that? And I think we will get more of that in this upcoming season. But it is interesting to see where fans' expectations are. Because some Dolphins fans, it's like night and day with some Dolphins fans. Some Dolphins fans have those expectations of, this is going to be the year, this is going to be whatever. And then the other ones are like, they're hurt. And trust me, I've been hurt many times as a Dolphin. If you're a Dolphins fan in general, you've been burnt so many dang times. I mean, beating the Steelers away in Heinz Field, it's snowing. Ryan Tannehill just put the team on his back, for God's sakes, and kept up the scoring with old Big Ben Roethlisberger, which is an underrated quarterback duel. That game was fun to watch. And then we go on to beat New England with the Michael Thomas's game-winning interception, and then obviously we dropped the next two games to a terrible Bills team and a terrible Jets team. So Dolphins fans have been hurt so many times, but Adam Gase is, I feel like you do get this special feeling. I don't know. It's interesting to see, but I just wanted to talk about expectations for the 2017 NFL season, because I really haven't heard a lot of fans say, I mean, I've heard some people say some crazy things, but I think everybody's just, it's good as a fan, and I'm just saying this to all of you guys, to just sit back and watch it. Don't say, this is what I want to happen, this is what I think is going to happen. Just sit back and watch all off season, watch the preseason, and watch the regular season. And just sit back and watch it. Don't just watch it. You know what I mean? I think that's important to do as a fan. I just wanted to talk about that for a second. And I'm not saying you guys can't have, like you can't. Oh, we're gonna go because I think we're gonna kick a lot of tail this upcoming season because our team's really good this season. And I think the 26th Adam Gase's first draft class is gonna have a huge imprint on this upcoming season. So, all right, so let's go beyond enemy lines, and I wish I had some music to come in right in that when I said that. But anyway, let's get into some AFC East news. This is some interesting piece of news here. Gerald Hodges is to visit with the Patriots, Jaguars, and Colts. So if you're Gerald Hodges is a pretty dang good player, obviously 3-4 guy. It's gonna be interesting to see where he lands. Obviously he visited with the Jets before this, so the Patriots are gonna take a good look at him, which is interesting because they have a ton of linebackers, and who knows what they're gonna try to do with him there. And then he's obviously gonna visit some other people there. So I don't think he really fits the Dolphins roster, and obviously I think our linebacker core is pretty dang good already. I don't think we need anybody there. So, but it's interesting. The Patriots are gonna had a look at him. Obviously, the Jets had a look at him. So, all right, this next piece of news is also the Patriots. Some Patriots news here. The longtime tackle for the New England Patriots, Sebastian Vollmer, officially retires from the NFL. He was obviously a consistent pillar on that the Patriots offensive line. And at the age of 33, he decides to retire. He's obviously suffered from hip issues throughout his career. I think he missed the entire 2016 season because of hip issues. So the Patriots, they lost a great player in Sebastian Vollmer, who is a pretty big reason why that offensive line was consistent, I guess you could say. Just like the Patriots team is. So there's your piece of news there. And the last piece of Patriots news here is about Dan Finney. Obviously, he was drafted to the Chargers, but the Indiana guard, man, he got a lot of love at the end of right before the draft. I think a lot of people. I mean, he was a part of a great offensive line in Indiana who produced two insanely talented running backs in Telvin Coleman and Jordan Howard. So Dan blocked for a lot of great running backs. He was also super consistent. But the Patriots, last piece of Patriots news. The Patriots wanted Dan Finney. Obviously, they didn't end up getting him. The Chargers ended up snagging him up. So, moving on from the Patriots, really, that was it for the Patriots. Now we're going to move on to the Buffalo Bills, and their dysfunction continues. Their new GM, Brandon Bain, I think is how you say his name, says, quote, Tyrod Taylor will probably be the starting quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. I think there's I can't really see. I got to get closer here. Let me see if there's another quote here. I don't think there is. Another quote. He says he's focused on the competition between the two quarterbacks. So they're not just outright handing Tyrod Taylor the job, which is interesting because he's by far the best quarterback on their roster. This continues with this Tyrod Taylor thing. They were so reluctant. And I've talked about, did I talk about this before on the last podcast? But they were so reluctant to give him that contract. And why they were reluctant to do that, I don't know. Obviously, they're not happy with the way he's played in the pocket. I mean, I wouldn't be either. But he's an above average quarterback. And when I say average, I don't know what I would consider average, but he's definitely not average. He brings that playmaking quality. He's a tough guy to game plan for because of his speed and because of his athletic ability. And the way that they utilized him in a Rex Ryan's offense, because Rex Ryan, I know it wasn't his offense, but everywhere he goes, Rex Ryan has a really good running game. And that's very important to him. So does Sean McDermott keep that? Obviously, he's a defensive coordinator. Does he keep that with this team, or do they totally change the offense? Because it's going to be interesting to see. I think one of the big reasons Tyrod Taylor excelled in that offense was because he was such a big part of the running game. I think they took a lot of cues from what the Panthers do with Cam Newton in that running game, and they added that to the Buffalo Bills scheme. Obviously, they had a great backfield with LaShawn McCoy and Mike Gillislee. And obviously Jerome Felton at the fullback position. So you had three really good backs in the backfield, which obviously they led the NFL in rushing a game, or just rushing in general. They were number one in the NFL in rushing offense. So it's going to be interesting to see how they utilize Tyrod Taylor under a Sean McDermott. Obviously they're not sold on him. They don't want him to be their starting quarterback. So as soon as if they get the chance to get a better quarterback, I think they pull the trigger. But again, it's going to be interesting to see how he's utilized in this new regime, because I think one of the biggest reasons Tyrod, if you look at Tyrod's passing numbers, they do not jump off the they don't jump off the screen. And when a run game is the quarterback's best friend, because it takes so much pressure off of the quarterback. And Tyrod Taylor had a #1 rushing attack behind him. Now, can the Buffalo Bills recreate that? It's going to be interesting to see if they can, because the way they utilize Tyrod Taylor in that offense, like I said before, I'm just repeating myself, but he was such a big part of that running game, and he's such a big part of why LaShawn McCoy got so many yards, why that rushing attack, because you had to focus on him. They ran a lot of option plays, a lot of stuff out of the pistol, where the quarterback could keep it himself. So that was a big part of Tyrod's success. So if it's going to be, because if that running game isn't where it was a year ago, can Tyrod Taylor still have that kind of success? I don't think so, because he's not a good pocket passer. Like I said, when you look, he's never passed for 4,000 yards in a season. He's a 3,000-yard guy. I don't think did he score? I don't know if he got 20 this year, but he's not. I don't think he's a 25 touchdown guy. So it's going to be interesting to see how Tyrod Taylor acclimates to this new regime and how they utilize him. But it's a good point to bring up, because again, Tyrod Taylor can't take 50. He can't drop back 50 times a game. So most quarterbacks can't. I'm not saying that's just a Tyrod Taylor thing, but he can't. I don't think he can. You can rely on his arm to win you a football game. If there's a 2-touchdown lead, and again, I don't think he can run. Hopefully he doesn't prove me wrong. But I haven't seen enough from him. I think that run game was such a big part of his success. And even when they were down, the Bills did not get away from that. They really never got away from the running game. So it's going to be interesting to see how much faith this regime has in him. Because if let's just say the Buffalo Bills go New York Jets 2.0 on us, right, in this division, and they just don't know who they just don't like Tyrod Taylor, and they're just continually like a crap and carousel, switching out quarterback, because you have to have consistency at that quarterback position. It's great to have competition there. If you have somebody who can challenge Tyrod, and I don't think they do have anybody on that roster that is nowhere near as good as Tyrod Taylor is. So it's just interesting him saying obviously they just hired this guy as their GM after firing their entire staff, their scouting staff, obviously their GM, right after the day after the draft ended, which is an insane thing to do. And now so does this guy have all the faith in the world in Tyrod Taylor? It's going to be interesting to see. I doubt it. And it's going to be interesting to see if they're like, this is who we're rolling with. This is who we're going with. He's our guy. He is our quarterback for the 2017 NFL season. If they do that, and then if they can follow that up and continue that same magic that they had with him in the last season, because I think he has to be in that kind of offense to have the success that he's been able to have. Because if he's not in that offense, I don't think he can. I don't think he can have that success. So it's gonna be interesting to see what the Bills do. Because if they go all willy nilly with like a Jet situation, it's gonna be interesting. It's just gonna be interesting to see. The dysfunction with the Bills is unreal. And I don't really think there's anything else here to talk about. Let's see here. I don't think there's anything to talk about really, other than no. The Jets, there's nothing really to talk about with the Jets. The Jets are the Jets. The Jets are in a rebuilding process. It's going to be interesting to see how patient they are with that regime and Todd Bowles. I think they were pretty close to firing him last season. I really don't know why they didn't. But, because I think Todd Bowles is a great defensive coordinator, and he can build a good defense. We've seen that with all of his drafts since he's been the head coach of the New York Jets. He's just drafted defense. So he's drafted a lot of receivers too. So I'm not saying he's not doing at least a half decent job of building the offense. He's not Rex Ryan, so he's trying. But they don't have a quarterback. They don't have an offensive lineman. And their offensive line is one of the worst in the NFL. They can't protect the quarterback. They don't have a quarterback to protect. And Matt Forte is obviously aging. Bilal Powell really don't think he's a starter. So it's gonna be interesting to see if the Jets are like, we know we're gonna suck this season. We're not gonna fire you, Todd, because if they fire Todd after this season, then that sets back the Jets many years. That sets them back for a long, long, long period of time. Same thing with the Bills. I really don't know if you look at Rex Ryan's record with the Bills, it's really good. So I really don't know why they fired Rex. I think both organizations are so. They have no patience. They have no consistency. They have no continuity. The cultures change every single year, every 2 years. They don't even give a culture time to grow. They don't give an organization time to grow. So it's gonna be interesting to see the Jets' patience with Todd Bowles this upcoming season. There is something about, I know some Dolphins fans are interested in this. Nick Mangold. The Jets were not interested in bringing him back. Obviously, Nick has had a really, really hard time staying healthy in the latter stages of his career. He's missed a ton of games, and when he's playing, I really don't think he's good. He's not bad or anything, but he can't really stay healthy. I guess he could add depth on a different football team, but I wouldn't be surprised if he retired, because he had a Hall of Fame he had a Hall of Fame career, But the latter stage of his career, he's had a hard time staying healthy. So I know everybody's like, why doesn't the Dolphins sign him? I think he doesn't really add anything to our offensive line. I don't think he's better than Jermon Bushrod at this stage of his career. Obviously, Nick Mangold is a center. I guess you could add depth there, but I like Anthony Steen, and I think Anthony Steen is just as good as Nick is at this point in his career, if not better. I know a lot of people were asking me about Nick Mangold, so that's how I feel about Nick Mangold. I just don't think he can stay healthy, which is one of the bigger reasons why this Dolphins offensive line has been terrible. It's just healthy. Nobody can stay healthy on that offensive line, and I think we got a whole lot more. We added a lot more depth. We added a lot more durability with Isaac Asiata. Obviously Jermon was very durable last season, starting all 16 games at guard, and that was his first year starting at guard. So I like our offensive line right now. And I don't think Nick Mangold really adds anything. And even if he did come to the football team, he would not start unless he could beat out Jermon Bushrod at guard. I don't think he's going to start, though. I don't think he's beaten anybody out on that offensive line. All right, so let's move on to... All right, before we move on to the fan Q&A, I want to tell you guys who won the game between the 84 Miami Dolphins and the 72 Miami Dolphins. And I think it was like a score of 25 to 3. I think the 84 Dolphins got 3 votes. Maybe it was 4, I can't remember. I lost my notes somewhere and I can't find them. So I'm going to say the 72 Dolphins beat the 84 Dolphins by a score of 25 to 3. Or 25 to 4. We'll just say that, okay? Which is impossible to score 4 points. I guess it's impossible to score 4 points in a football game. So we're just going to say they won by a score of 25 to 6. Or we'll say 27 to 6. How's that? So your 72 Dolphins are the better football team. All right, let's move on from this. Okay, so getting into the fan Q&A here. This first question comes from Savage. I have terrible eyes and I do not have I don't have glasses, but I don't have any. I probably need glasses is what I'm trying to say. I used to wear glasses. I don't wear them anymore. He says, "Do you believe Isaiah Ford could be this question comes from Cryptic Savage or Track Savage. I don't know how to say your first name, but in case you don't know who, if you're listening, you have a cross as your emblem there. And he says, "Do you believe that Isaiah Ford could be our next Rashard Matthews?" Obviously, both were drafted in the 7th round. That's a deep cut right there, Savage. I remember drafting Rashard Matthews. I think it was out of Nevada. I'm probably getting him mixed up with somebody else, but I'm just saying we drafted him out of Nevada. I remember very clearly. Obviously, that was the same draft. We drafted Tannehill. That was such a good draft for the Dolphins. Obviously, getting Lamar Miller, Rashard Matthews, Ryan Tannehill, to name a few. I'm pretty sure Olivier Vernon came out of that draft too. So unless it was the 2011 draft, I'm pretty sure it was the 2012 draft though. That was a insanely good draft for the Dolphins, getting really quality starters across the board there. But no, is Isaiah Ford the next Rashard Matthews? If Isaiah Ford can become that, because it took a while for Matthews to develop into a really good receiver, I would say a true number 3 guy. Could be a number 2 guy on any kind of football team. I think Rashard Matthews, I would say, is a really good number 2. But it took him a while to develop into that. Obviously, he showed flashes his rookie season. Obviously, when Tannehill's first game at home against the Patriots, he caught a sick pass. And obviously, the second game that Tannehill ever played against the Patriots, he caught a clutch third down pass, which ended up on the same drive being the game-winning touchdown. But can he be the next Rashard Matthews? Can Isaiah Ford be the next Rashard Matthews? They're two totally different guys. I think Isaiah Ford has a chance to be better than Rashard Matthews. I think he can still be a Rashard Matthews. So yeah, I think Isaiah Ford is more of a Devon Best type of guy. I would look for Isaiah Ford to have that kind of, he be that kind of receiver. It's like a Devon Best, just always gets open somehow and has elite quickness like Devon Best had. I would say that's who I would compare Isaiah Ford to more than Rashard Matthews. And if Isaiah Ford can be Devon Best, that's pretty dang good. Because Devon Best was one of the better slot receivers in the league. Obviously, Tannehill's rookie year had 900 yards receiving. And was Tannehill's favorite target other than Brian Hartline. So, yeah, I would look for him to be more of a Devon Best than a Rashard Matthews. Because Rashard Matthews is a big guy, big physical guy, great route runner. He's got a good release coming off the line of scrimmage. I think same thing with Isaiah Ford. So it's gonna be interesting to see if Isaiah Ford can turn into that. All right, this next question comes from EJ, and he says, "Who is the worst player we drafted?" This is a hilarious question. Now, worst is a harsh word. I would say the I don't know how you would even put this. Not least talented. Not all there. More potential than he is there as a football player. I would say out of all of them, man. I would say Cordrea, because I don't think Cordrea has so much ability, and he has such a tremendous upside. He just needs to get his hands off the receivers. He's so handsy. He's a physical, hard-nosed corner. But if he can just work on his technique and not rely so much on putting his hands on, just take your dang hands off the receiver after 5 yards, which Byron Maxwell has gotten away with throughout his career. Byron Maxwell, very physical cornerback. So hopefully Byron can teach him some of the old vet moves that you can kind of get away with in the NFL. We see it with Richard Sherman too. You watch Richard Sherman's tape. He's got his hands on the 10 yards and beyond. He's got his hands on the receiver. And obviously, you know, if corners are, especially in today's game, they're infamous to they're really good, especially really good veteran corners. They're very good. They're really sneakily good at holding a receiver's hand down. So hopefully Cordrea can tap into some of that. And who knows? But I think he's probably the biggest prospect. I mean, obviously you could point out Vincent and Davon, but I would say he's probably not. Especially since our secondary is so deep. Let's see here. What other? This next question comes from Savage. Also, he says, "Do you think that our defense will be a top 15 defense this year?" I sincerely hope so. And I mean, if you're talking total defense, I hope we kind of maybe in the 12 to 10 range. I hope we can get into that. I think we have the talent to do it, but 15 would be a huge jump. And I'm with you on that, Savage. I think we can be, yeah. We just got to stay healthy, man. If we can stay healthy, we can be a top 15 defense for sure. And if we can stay healthy, and hopefully we have a smarter defense this year than we did last season, then yeah. I think we have a lot more depth this year than we did last season. So yeah, I definitely think we can be a top 15 defense. This next question comes from Trey Evans. He says, "What do you think Charles Harris's role will be?" I think as of right now, since we have not seen him in training camp and we have not seen him really hit somebody yet in preseason, I think his role right now is, in terms of what the Dolphins foresee him doing, is being a situational pass rusher on third down. Obvious passing downs, pass rusher. I would say Charles Harris would be that for right now. As of right now, that's how the Dolphins view him, and that's how I view him. Obviously, there are question marks in his run defense for some people. I think he just needs to work on some technique issues. I don't think it has anything to do with physical ability. See here. This next question comes from this is Patrick. He says, "Do you think that forgot his name the running back from Michigan will impress Gase enough where he will have where he could replace Damian Williams this year. So you're talking about Devon Smith. Can he outdo Damian Williams? No. Damian Williams is top 5 in the NFL in running backs who have less than 20 touches a game. He's a top 5 elusive back. So I think it's less than 20 touches a game. I think he's like number 3 or 4 on that list of most elusive running backs. And Damian Williams has had obviously a long time to develop, and he's been very consistent. He's obviously constantly making the team, constantly proving his worth. And there's something to be said about that. And I think Damian Williams has taken a huge step each time he's been in the NFL, and I think he's just a Swiss Army knife, man. So I don't think Devon Smith is that. Who know he could be, but I don't think he is. I don't think he's that yet. So yeah. All right, so let's move down the line here. Let's move down the line. All right, this next question comes from Radical IT. He said, should Byron Maxwell be the starter? And then he goes on to explain why he thinks Byron Maxwell shouldn't be the starter. He says, I think Byron Maxwell shouldn't be a starter. He said he thinks Xavier 1, Tony Lippett 2, 3 McCain, 4 Maxwell, and 5 Tankersley. Yes, Byron Maxwell should be the starter. Byron Maxwell was Pro Football Focus. He was at a point in the season, he was top 15 in the NFL and cornerbacks, and that's pretty hard to crack. Obviously, when Byron Maxwell got that fire lit under him and said, this isn't somewhere you're going to take a vacation, Byron Maxwell played at a Pro Bowl level. So, no, Byron Maxwell should totally be the starter for the Miami Dolphins. He's young. He's still in his prime, and he's still a really good football player. So, yeah, Byron Maxwell should definitely be the starter for the Miami Dolphins. Let's see here. This next question comes from Finn's Fan. He says, will we sweep the Patriots like Landry thinks? This is a kind of a weird question to answer. I like what Landry said. I think Jarvis, it's a nice thing. He's such a great leader and great player. And like I said before in the past, if somehow he got away from the Miami Dolphins, that would be the biggest mistakes in Miami Dolphins franchise history because of how much he means to the football team. But do I think that Jarvis Landry is right? Will we sweep the Patriots? The hardest game will be at Gillette. If we can beat them at Gillette, then we have a really good chance of doing that. Obviously, we haven't beat the Patriots in Gillette since the 2008 Wildcat Tony Sperano season. So it's been a very long time. And if Adam Gase did that, that would be a great achievement in his coaching career. And I think he would make a lot of Dolphins fans happy, obviously. So yeah, I think yes, I think if we could just beat them at Gillette, I think we got the number at home. Obviously, we didn't win last time, but we were so hurt the last game we played against them. Obviously, we didn't have our starting quarterback. Byron was out. A ton of players. Rashard Jones was out. So many impactful players were not playing that game. And we still almost won the game if it wasn't for Damian Williams fumbling the ball in the red zone. And we turned the ball over a lot with Matt Moore in the red zone. And if Tannehill was starting, that would not have happened. Tannehill is so much better than Matt Moore. It's not even funny. So, yeah. Yeah, I think he's right. If we could beat them in Gillette, yeah, it should be. Can the Dolphins beat the Patriots in Gillette? It has nothing to do with us playing them at home because we got their number at home. All right, this next question comes from Landry, or is it Lake Sports? I think is his name. I have terrible eyes right now. Lake Sports says he says, do you think Michael Thomas will start ahead of Nate Allen? No, that's not going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. Michael Thomas, while a great rotational player, I do not think is a starting safety in the NFL for a 16-game season where teams will go at him because he is the weak link on the back end. I don't think that. I don't think he's the starter. I think he's a very smart player, very instinctual player, as he's shown throughout his career. Obviously, the pick on Brady, all of that stuff. I mean, I just don't think he has the athleticism to play in the NFL at a high level for 16 games in the NFL season, and he doesn't have to play at a high level to beat out Nate Allen. I mean, but he could beat out Nate Allen. I think it's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Dolphins are, again, what Adam Gase says is if he's better, he's better. He will play over Nate Allen, but I don't think he will. I don't know. He has a chance to, but obviously Michael Thomas. a very big part of special teams. It's going to be interesting to see if his time is split between the two, because Dan Rizzi will still work him out pretty hard. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know. I don't think so, but I wouldn't doubt it. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Nate Allen will be the starter for the first 8 games of the season. Let's see here. This next question comes from the Gamer. He says, can Cordrea Tankersley play nickel corner? No, he's an outside corner. I think he's got the athleticism to do it. But I don't think he's a great tackler. And in the middle of the football field, you have to be a great tackler. Not saying Bobby McCain is an elite tackler either, because he's not. But Tankersley, his another gripe with him coming out of college is his tackling. It's been very poor. Even though he's a pretty physical corner, he has no reason to be a poor tackler. But no, I don't think he can. I mean, if we try him out there, maybe. But I don't think that's gonna happen. This next question also comes from the Gamer. He says, do you think Andre Branch will have a breakout season? I think he had a breakout season last season. I mean, if you look at he didn't start. Andre didn't start till week 7 in the NFL and had 5.5 sacks. Which is pretty dang good. And obviously, he had a lot of sacks that had to be brought back because of penalties. He would have had I think 9 if it wasn't for penalties, which were stupid penalties if you go back and look at them. But I think Andre had a breakout year last season. Can he get more than 5 sacks? Absolutely. Now, what in your definition of breakout is I don't know if you're thinking 10. I don't know about 10. I think Charles Harris is gonna eventually take over that role, but we'll see. I think he already had his breakout season though. So yeah. Let's see here. This next question comes from Archie. He says, thoughts on adding a vet at free safety and center to ensure I think for center we're covered. I think Anthony Steen is a great backup center and a great backup guard, and he proved that last season. He started a lot of games last season against a lot of really good players, and I think he proved his worth. So I think we have a really good semi-starter in the NFL. I think Anthony Steen on an NFL team can be a very solid starter for a 16-game season. So I think he's he has great depth there. And then at free safety, I think Darrelle Revis, I've said this many times, but I think Revis still has it, and I think he has versatility, and I think he has all the instincts in the world, and he knows what it takes to win. And I think if we were to add anybody there, it would be Darrelle Revis, because I think he would make the best impact. He would be the smartest move, and a lot of other people are like, but does the money make sense? The money makes a lot of sense. I don't think Darrelle Revis is going to be asking for a whole lot. I think he just wants to play the game. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know Darrelle Revis. I'm just assuming from what I've heard from him in interviews and things that he said. I think he just wants to play the game of football. So we'll see about that. But if I had to add anybody at that position, it would definitely be at the free safety position. It would totally be Darrelle Revis. All right, this next question comes from James Parker. He says, do you think TJ McDonald will still be on the Dolphins after the 2017 season entering free agency? That's going to be an interesting thing. I don't know. That's a great question. Because I think depending on how he plays, but I don't think so. I don't think he'll be on the team after the 2017 season, which is unfortunate. But there's a lot of decisions the Dolphins have to be made. Obviously, the Tannehill decision is going to be interesting. So, no, depending on other circumstances that could possibly happen, I don't see that happening. Now, it could happen, and I think if he played really, really well, I think the Dolphins have sent that message, we take care of our own, which is a great message to send to the locker room. If he plays well enough, maybe, but there's other players that need that money too. Okay, this next question comes from, I think his name is Ray. If I'm seeing that name. So this next question comes from Ray. He says, how do you feel about us not having a bye week right after the London game, and then we wait a minute, what? He says, how do you feel about us not having a bye week after the London game, and then we facing 4 potential playoff teams in a row? I can't off the top of my head remember. I think the Titans are one of them, potential playoff teams, the Titans. And I can't remember right off the top of my head right now because, let's see, 4 potential. See, it's the Titans. I can't remember the next three of them. So I'm gonna say I would have to see the schedule. I can't remember right now. I'm drawing a blank. But in terms of not having a bye week, and if what you're saying is true, I would have to look at the teams and tell you on my opinion on those teams. But no, I don't. I think we have the bye week in week 11, and I think that's a great place to have it because you want to have it. You want to rest, and then you want to go for December. You want to have that break, like, okay, and then because you have to make a run in that part of the year. So having that rest right there, I think, is very important, and I think coming off that bye week and to just everybody getting ready to just make that run, I think is very important. So I like where the bye week is. To answer your question, I don't think it's that. I don't think having it, week 5 of the season or week 4? So you would saying right after the London game. So week 5 bye week would be terrible. I don't think that early on in the season you need a bye week at all. I don't think there's no reason to. I hate when teams get early bye weeks because that's a long haul for the rest of the season, especially November and December where you're going to be beat up pretty bad. Especially if we have injuries deep into the year. It gives us an extra week not to have to play a game and not to have to do any of the usual things going up to that season. So if we have somebody hurt for that week 11 bye, that comes in clutch also. So there's a lot of reasons why you don't want an early bye week. Let's see here. I think that's it. No, we got a couple more here. All right, this next question comes from Alex, and he says, should Tankersley compete at free safety? Absolutely not. He's not a good. One of the big reasons he dropped in the draft is his unwillingness to play in the run. A lot of teams, FSU, can turn on the tape of when they went against Florida State. They ran at him constantly, and he just continuously failed to compete in the run game. So I have questions about his open field tackling. And no, he definitely should not start at free safety, especially since he would have to make that's not, development. He's a corner. That's what we're developing, is to be an outside corner. So to stop his development, he's never played safety in his career. That's just not. There's a whole lot of reasons why that's not a good idea. So no, I don't think he should compete at free safety. And I understand why he's saying that, because obviously free safety is a concern. But I think Nate Allen and Michael Thomas, especially since they're veterans, would be better free safety than Tankersley, who's a rookie cornerback, not a rookie free safety. He would be learning a totally new position. And he's obviously a raw prospect to begin with at corner, so no, that would not be a good idea. All right, this next question comes from Chief Bubba. He says Tony Lippett needs to go back to wide receiver since we have a solid cornerback. No, he needs to stay at corner. He's looking really good at cornerback, and he's young. Obviously, he's developing, so he definitely needs to stay at corner. Sean Smith says, do you think the Dolphins will never make Zach Thomas a linebackers coach? Was one of the smartest players the game has ever seen. You're absolutely right. That would be a great idea. I really don't know why we haven't reached out to him in terms of being a linebackers coach. Obviously, he's a great leader. He has such a passion for the game that's unmatched by anybody that played during the season or during when he played. Zach Thomas, Hall of Fame caliber player, should be in the Hall of Fame. And I can't wait to see him go to the Hall because obviously his teammate and one of his best friends, Jason, made it. Yeah, that would be a great idea if the Miami Dolphins decided to do that. I think that would be an insanely good idea, Sean. I think that's a great idea. Let's see here. Nothing else to really talk about. Okay, so that was the last of the questions, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I would like to thank everybody who participates in this community, because without you guys, we would literally have nothing to talk about. So you guys legitimately, if it wasn't for you guys, this channel would not exist for a lot of different reasons, and one of the biggest reasons is because you guys is participants in the community, putting your questions in. Getting every question is a great question. I don't care what you ask. You could say, why does Mike Pouncey look like a fish? And I would answer that question. So none of your questions are dumb. So you guys, every question, like I said, just to kind of, what I'm saying is every question matters because it keeps the channel going. And so that is going to be it, guys. I am Skags1383. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Obviously, this is going to be uploaded every Wednesday. This week, you guys can vote down in the comment section below. I'm thinking about doing, if you guys don't say anything, that's fine. But I'm thinking about doing the 2016 Dolphins versus the 2013 Dolphins, and I'm sure that's going to be a landslide. But maybe if you guys give me a different idea, I'll do something else. Maybe the 2016 Dolphins versus the 2000 Dolphins, which both teams made the playoffs. That team went 11-5. This team went 10-6. So maybe that's a little bit more fair of a matchup. So that's going to be it, guys. I'm Skags1383. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Remember, this is uploaded every Wednesday, including fan Q&A, which we do every Sunday. Obviously, you guys get your questions in Sunday. The video uploads Monday. We do news update here. Anything that the Dolphins do, rumors, doesn't matter if it's the dumbest rumor in the world. The Dolphins are trading every single player that they ever loved away. I will report on that. So it's all the Dolphins news you need to know about. We have news update, obviously fan Q&A, and the NFL podcast, which is uploaded every Saturday. Now let me know. Now if you guys made it this far, which would be amazing if you did make it an hour into this video. Let me know if you guys want more of the podcasts. Maybe we do. I would feel like we can't do more than one a week, but if I don't know if we could, what day you guys would want that? Maybe Sundays. If you guys want that, let me know down in the comment section below. So that's gonna be it, guys. I am Skags1383, and I'll see you guys in the next one.